Welcome to today's Poocasst, the only podcast sponsored by Cardboard Box. When you have to put stuff inside of a thing, and guitar, instrument with strings. So anyway, today's podcast episode, Poocasst episode, is about puking. Now, I'm in my early 30s now, and almost my mid 30s, between the early and mid 30s. And in my 20s, I drank a lot. I even drank a lot. Not a lot. I did drink a lot in like high school. I loved drinking before the hangovers started lasting multiple days and causing me lots of pain. And yeah, so I don't really drink very much anymore. I always feel like shit. I much prefer smoking weed. And even that, I don't really smoke weed very often because, I don't know. I'm more prone to anxiety attacks now. I'm just so not fun. I'm just a guy trying to do a podcast sober. I don't want to be like sober, but like, you know what I mean. I'm sober right now. But yeah. I should do one of these fucked up. That would be fun. Yeah, that'd be like good for a special occasion. Doing one of these wasted. Anyway. So, this episode is about puking. I have two stories that come to mind. Monks have magic. I was about 15 or 16 years old, and I was over at my friend Kathy's house. We were over there with a bunch of people. My friend Sharma was there. I think Kathy was there. No, not I think. I know Kathy was there. Jen was there. And then I don't remember who else was there. I think that might have been it. But I don't think they make Bacardi 151 anymore. But we were drinking Bacardi 151 and Diet Dr. Pepper. I think that's what I was drinking. And for some reason, I could stomach alcohol much more easily when I was younger. Like, it didn't make my stomach fucking turn. Like, now, like, recently, I took a fucking shot at a friend's house, at Austin's house, and I fucking threw up in his bathroom. I literally can't take shots anymore because I'm a wuss. But yeah, so I was drinking. It was, I think I had 2 red party cups with half Bacardi 151 and half Diet Dr. Pepper, but I think the bigger part of the cup was Bacardi 151. It was fucking annihilation. I was hammered. And then I think they were also feeding me tequila shots. I recall them giving me at least 1 tequila shot. And they said the worm was in it. The worm was in it. And as soon as I felt the worm, I just spit it out all over the floor. It was rude. But I didn't want to drink the fucking worm. It's fucking disgusting. Ugh. So, what ended up happening was I started throwing up. I was in an armchair. Oh, no, I remember. I think we put porn on. For some reason, I thought I could hook up with the Jennifer girl, and I kept asking her if she was horny. It was fucking embarrassing. So I kept going, "Are you horny yet? Are you horny? Are you horny?" Like, who fucking does that? But apparently drunk Carlos does, because he's a fucking, this is really embarrassing. But because he's a fucking idiot. So there was porn on, and then I start throwing. I think this is the series of events. It's kind of blurry, but I'll maybe have someone else. I'll probably try to have Sharma on the podcast to verify everything that happened. That's also the night Sharma and I kissed. We kissed. That's what happened before that. That's probably why I was so horny. Sharma and I kissed. He's the first man I ever kissed. Oh God. So anyway, oh God. So I'm sitting. So when the puking begins, I'm sitting in a fucking armchair like a lazy boy, and I just start throwing up all over myself. Just no control whatsoever. and I think I was going in and out of consciousness. I'm not sure, so I must have had more to drink, but I was just I started blacking out. I started throwing up all over myself, and there's pictures somewhere. I wish I could post them up like on this podcast, but I can't. I'll re-edit this later on if I ever find any pictures of this. But yeah, I start throwing up all over myself, and they clean me up, and then they change me. There was actually, I remember one picture that they had of me is me with vomit all over my shirt that they had changed me into, and it said super student, but they crossed out the ENT, or on the shirt, the ENT was crossed out, and it said super stud, and there was a snake on the shirt. It was like a cartoon snake, so that was pretty funny. With vomit all over me, and my face is all jacked up. And then what else? So I start throwing up everywhere. I think they changed me out of my clothes about 2 or 3 times, and I'm getting puke. Apparently I got puke, like little bits of chicken inside. They were cleaning up bits of chicken from inside this Lazy Boy. It's fucking horrendous. So I guess I'd gone through so many fucking clothes that they ended up putting me in a bathtub, and I was completely naked in a bathtub with cold water. And I just remember looking up and seeing Kathy with an amused look on her face. And apparently there's pictures of this too, which is child pornography, but I still want to see it. I think it's fucking hilarious, of me in the bathtub, and apparently I was just like playing around in the water or something like that, but like I said, I can't remember very well. But yeah, you can see my bush in the picture. It's pretty fucking funny. Yeah, so I was in the bathtub, and I remember pleading like, no, don't turn on the cold water, don't turn on the cold water, because it was fucking cold. They were trying to wake my ass up and sober me up. Oh my god. But I started going, monks have magic. They have magic powers. Monks have magic. They have magic powers. That was I guess the quote of the evening. And I kept going, you didn't see my penis, but I would lift up my hands from my crotch and point at Kathy. You didn't see my penis. She's like, yes, I did. I just did. And I'm like, no, you did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But yeah. I wasn't hungover the next day. Everything ended up being okay. I wasn't hungover. I think the next day I went to go see V for Vendetta with my dad. But that was, that has to be one of the first few times that I drank. It has to be. Because I didn't drink till I was 15. And I was 15 or 16 at that point. Yeah, something like that. Okay, next story. The Connor story. So, my friend Connor was doing photography at the time, and he decided to make the mistake of bringing me along to it was the opening celebration of the launch of a cell phone. I don't remember the cell phone, but the key fact here is they had an open bar. If I recall correctly, they had 2 open bars, 2 bartenders across from each other. So I just decided, I was in my early 20s at this point. I was dating Jacqueline. So I go to one bartender at Maker's Mark and Coke. Maker's Mark and Coke. I go to the other bartender. Maker's Mark and Coke. I go to the other bartender. And I just all night started drinking Maker's Mark and Coke from one bartender to the other so they wouldn't cut me off. Drunk Carlos knew if I keep going to the same one, they're going to cut me off. And then I remember just running around this cell phone release party, playing like a first-person shooter on the cell phone game, and I recall doing pretty well actually, but I was starting to get drunk and cocky, and I just, in the haze of the memory, I remember people looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Which I get that look a lot, but it was very prominent that evening, so much so that I still remember it to this day. Like 12 years later, 13 years later, however fucking many years ago it was. No, I was over 21. It's probably like 12 years ago. Something like that. Oh, God. So, I remember we went outside to go look at a projector projecting something on a big wall somewhere. I think it was somewhere near the Chinese Theater. Somewhere near around there. I think. Yeah. Sure, why not? Let's just say it's around there. And for some reason we started talking about Olivia Munn being mean to some random lady. I started talking to some random lady, and somehow the conversation got to that she worked with Olivia Munn and she told me she was a bitch. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's one of the key factoids that I remember of the evening, that Olivia Munn is mean, apparently. Then I believe we went to go get hot dogs. We went to some really good place to get hot dogs, and I remember just speaking in Spanish to everybody, but I don't remember what the fuck I was saying. I was just speaking in Spanish to everybody. Mind you, Connor, by this point, I don't think he was too keen on having me be that drunk, but I'm having a tough time remembering. I guess this wasn't such a great subject for the podcast because I have a tough time remembering these events, but I'm trying my best. And then so I remember speaking Spanish. Yeah, no, he was irritated with me by that point. I'll have to have him on too, so that way he can talk about this, because I really would like to know how that evening went. So I guess this is part one. So then Connor, when we go to pay, he got mad at me or something. He was like, that's not what you ordered. Because I kept telling him that I ordered a certain kind of hot dog, but I hadn't. But in my mind, I was sure I ordered a specific, like a Philly cheesesteak dog or something, but I hadn't ordered that. I ordered something else. I don't know. So anyway, Connor starts driving home. He's going on the freeway. I don't know how fast he's going, but he's on the freeway, so I'm assuming at least 65 miles an hour. And I have to throw up. I believe I immediately start throwing up. Yep, we're all over myself. I start throwing up all over myself onto the floor, into the door where the handle to grab the door, into that. Then the window gets rolled down and I start throwing up outside of the window. But Connor rolled down both windows, the passenger front and passenger back. So I'm throwing up into the wind, and he's not stopping. And I'm just throwing up excessive amounts of fucking liquid and hot dog at this point. And it's just getting kicked back into the back seat. It's like a fucking sprinkler. I was a puke sprinkler. And I remember looking over at him, and just the sheer it was a mixture of disgust and fear on his face. He looked mortified and just disgusted. And holy fucking shit, it's like burned into my brain. I was literally the second worst thing that happened to that car, because unfortunately later on he got into a car accident. Luckily he was okay, or he is okay. But anyway, moving on. So I think I start sobering up at this point. Not like completely. I'm still fucking wasted. But enough to remember that we stopped at a gas station, and I start trying to clean his car with the squeegee fluid and the squeegee and paper towels. And I think I start dunking the paper towels into the squeegee fluid, and Connor just goes, "That's not what you're supposed to use that for." Something like that. So he ends up dropping me off at Jacqueline's house, and I don't remember. I think she put me into the tub with all of my clothes on, or most of my clothes on, because I had throw up all over myself. And I guess I was just quietly sobbing in the shower. Oh yeah, that's another thing. That's going to be in the episode where Ryan and Joey make fun of me, or Ryan makes fun of me. I don't know. Whoever's making fun of me in the next episode, or the future episode of the Poocasst. That's probably going to be a lot of Carlos crying stories. I was a drunk crier back before the bipolar medication. Oh, fuck. But yeah, so that night ended with me quietly sobbing into the shower. Because they can't see you cry when it rains. Yeah, and those are my two stories. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble for 15 minutes. Thank you very much. I love you. Goodbye.